Chapter 1. Tidehollow Morning. Maren woke to stillness. Not the empty stillness of a room with the lights off, but the steady stillness of land that does not sway. For a few breaths, she lay there, waiting for the familiar lift and fall that always came with her floating village, the gentle rocking that told her the sea was holding everything up. Nothing moved beneath her. Sand pressed cool and firm against her shoulder. Above, the sky was pale, rinsed clean, and the air smelled of salt and silver leaves. A thin mist hung over the island like a soft veil someone forgot to remove, turning every edge gentle, every distance calm. She sat up slowly, as if she might startle the morning. Tidehollow was quiet, in the way a library is quiet. Doors were closed, but you could feel people inside them. Paths curved between rounded homes, built of pale stone and driftwood beams. Lanterns hung from hooks even in daylight, their glass faintly tinted like sea glass, as if the village liked to remember night. Maren brushed sand from her palms and stood. Her knees wobbled, not from weakness, but from the strange surprise of unmoving ground. She laughed under her breath, then pressed her feet more firmly into the beach until her body believed what it was being told. Land stays. She looked out, across the water, far away. Somewhere beyond the horizon, her floating village would be waking too. Nets being unrolled, kettles warming. Her father's hands checking knots out of habit. Her lighthouse beginning its slow daytime rest, storing up light for evening. The thought tightened her chest in a tender way. "I'm still here," she whispered. Not to the island, not to the sea, but to the part of herself that worried leaving meant losing. "I'm still me." The tide slid in and out like a patient answer. She gathered her small pack and followed a path into the village, letting the mist bead on her eyelashes. Silver-leaf trees lined the walkway, their leaves whispering softly, not like wind through pine, but like paper turning. When a leaf caught the light, it flashed for a second, a pale shimmer, then returned to quiet. As she approached the village center, the hush changed. It became warm, human. There were faint clinks of tools, the soft slap of wet rope, the low murmur of conversation that never rose into shouting. Then she heard a laugh, bright and sudden, like a spoon tapping a glass. A long table sat in the open, surrounded by people working with slow hands. Nets lay in luminous heaps. Polished shells were sorted into bowls. A young man stood with a length of shimmering net wrapped around his forearms, as if it had decided he was the problem, and it intended to prove it. "Okay," he told the net with deep seriousness. "We can do this politely." The net tightened. He sighed. "Or we can do this the way you're begging for." A woman perched on a crate nearby, watching with open amusement. Her hair was tied up, but not tightly, and a few strands had escaped to frame her face like they lived there on purpose. She rested her chin in her palm. "You're negotiating with rope," she said, tone gentle and entertained. "That's adorable." "It's not rope," the young man replied, pulling. "It's an opinion in net form." The net gave another offended twist. Maren smiled, and that small movement was enough. Both of them noticed her immediately, like people who are used to noticing what changes in a room. The young man's face brightened. "You're her." Maren stopped, surprised by the certainty in his voice. "Who?" "The traveler," he said, grinning as if it was a compliment and a secret. The sea wouldn't stop humming last night. It was like it had a song stuck in its teeth. The woman slid off the crate and stepped closer, offering her hand. "Lyra." "I fix things." Maren shook her hand, feeling calluses and warmth. Maren? Lyra said, eyes narrowing with friendly inspection. You've got listening eyes. Like you're always hearing something, just under the surface. Maren wasn't sure how to answer, so she told the truth. I listen more than I talk. That's a useful skill, Lyra said. Especially here. People in Tidehollow don't mind silence. We just like it, to be honest. The young man finally freed his arm from the net, only for the net to wrap itself around his elbow in protest. He looked at Maren and lifted his free hand in a small bow. Kellen. Occasionally capable, rarely humble, Lyra added. Strategically confident, Kellen corrected, tugging again. The net released him with grudging reluctance, as if it was saving the argument for later. Maren laughed, then felt a flicker of relief at how natural it sounded. She had been carrying her own quietness like something fragile. Here, it didn't feel fragile. It felt normal. Kellen nodded toward the village. You ate yet? Maren blinked. No. I didn't want to bother anyone. Lyra made a sound that was half sigh, half scold, half smile. You're already here. That ship sailed. Literally, she reached into a basket on the table and handed Maren a small round bread roll, warm enough to fog her fingers. It smelled, faintly, of honey and sea salt. Maren took a bite and felt her shoulders drop. The taste was simple, comforting. The kind of food made by people who cook for the same reason they mend nets, because it keeps life together. Kellen watched her chew, expression softening. So, you came from a floating village? Yes, Maren said, swallowing. Everything moves there. The houses, the docks, even the paths. You learn to walk like you're dancing with the sea. And here, Lyra said, tapping the ground with her toe, we dance with the stillness. Maren looked down at the firm earth. It feels strange. It will, Kellen said. Then one day it won't. And that will feel strange too. Maren considered that and smiled again, smaller this time. A new voice drifted in from behind the table, older and calm. New feet on old ground. It said, the island notices. Maren turned. An elder stood a short distance away, carrying a tray of small glass cups filled with something pale and steaming. Their hair was braided with thin threads that caught the light like dew. Their eyes were gentle, but sharp in the way that suggested they saw more than they asked for. Lyra's posture shifted subtly. Respectful. Sorry? Kellen inclined his head. Keeper. Sorry approached Maren with the unhurried certainty of someone who never worries about being heard. They offered her one of the cups. Drink. Sorry said. It helps the body accept new places. Maren took it carefully and sipped. The liquid tasted like warm pear and salt air, like comfort that didn't need explaining. Sorry studied her face. Maren of the drifting village. The sea carried you well. Maren felt her heart stumble. You know who I am. We know many things, Sorry said, not boasting, simply stating. We keep stories here. Some arrive before the people do. Kellen leaned in, eager. Show her. Lyra elbowed him lightly. Don't rush. She just woke up on land for the first time in her life. I woke up on land once, Kellen protested. I handled it. You fell off a step because you expected it to move, Lyra replied. That was a test, Kellen said quickly. Maren laughed again, then realized she was doing it a lot. The sound felt good, like breathing in a room with open windows. Sorry gestured toward the round hall at the center of the village. Come, Maren. not as a demand, as an invitation. The island likes to greet its guests properly. Maren hesitated, glancing back toward the water, as if checking for the direction home. The sea shimmered. The mist softened. The village waited. She nodded once. Okay. As they began to walk, Kellen fell into step on her left, Lyra on her right. Sori ahead of them, like a quiet lantern, leading the way. Maren felt the strangest thing. Not that she was leaving something behind, but that she was being welcomed forward. And somewhere in her mind, like a memory of light turning in a tall tower, she felt her lighthouse far away, steady and patient, as if it had listened to her footsteps and approved of their direction. They reached the hall's entrance, and Maren paused beneath the archway. Carvings flowed over the stone in looping patterns, waves braided with spirals that looked almost like fingerprints. She traced one line with a fingertip. The stone was cool, but not cold, alive in a quiet way. "What is this place called?" she asked. "The Hall of Held Stories," Kellen said, voice dropping as if the name itself requested softness. Maren glanced at Lyra. "Held? Like kept?" "Held," Lyra echoed. "Not trapped. More like cupped in two hands, so it doesn't spill before it's ready." Sori looked back at her. "Some arrive with their stories tangled," they said. "Some with stories half said. We don't fix them here. We hold them until the person is ready to hold them differently." Maren swallowed. "And if I'm not ready, then we wait," Sori said. "The island is very good at waiting." A breeze stirred the mist behind them, and Maren felt her breath match. It, slow and steady, as if the island had begun teaching her.